So hopefully you're able to now see my presentation. So this is very similar setup to what your student experiences in their digital Zoom meeting, their digital class with me. I wanted to try and give you an experience of what your student experiences, so you just have some idea of what my expectations are and the challenges that your student might face too in my class. Because we all know math is challenging. That's not a mystery to anyone. So I'm just responding to some people privately in the chat, which is also something that I'm able to use with students. If students have anything that they need to share with me that they don't want to share with the whole class, they can private chat me on Zoom. So just for the sake of time, now that it's 7:11, 1 minute after our official start time, I'm just going to go ahead and start going through the presentation for us. You can still type in the chat while I'm going through the presentation. If any questions come up for you during the presentation, you can use the chat. This is also an optional, a little optional thing if you want to experience what your student experiences in my class. You can go to this website, joinpd.com. Or you can copy and paste the link I just posted in the chat to experience what's called a pear deck, which is basically a presentation that allows for engagement and dialogue and discussion. It's very challenging to have all class discussions on Zoom the way I normally would in a classroom. So one solution I found is this app called Pear Deck, where the students are able to draw or write or type or do multiple choice or drag things around, lots of different options. And they're able to show me their thinking, even if there is some sort of technological barrier keeping that student from being able to communicate verbally. The way we normally would in a classroom. Some students have mic issues, some students have Wi-Fi issues, some students have issues with their, just being in a busy households. That same thing happens to me sometimes. Sometimes my dogs come in and start barking in the middle of me trying to teach. So it's, we're flexible and we roll with it. And we're trying to find the best way to engage our students online as possible. So I see 2 people have connected. That's cool. There's only 5 of us here. So 2 out of 5, some quick maths, that's 40% of us. So one thing that I usually try and do with the students is what's called a stress check, or some kind of social emotional check-in, because I know how much stress we've all been under over the last year. Or longer, right? If you've got your own stress, for sure. So this is a nice way. I keep it 100% anonymous, of course. I'm not going to share what a student shares with any other students. But this quickly allows me to see kind of like what the mood of the class is in. Hi, welcome. So you can see here these purple lines are the people who are logged into Pear Deck right now are participating and letting me know where they end up on this stress scale. So just an example of how we can interact and check in with each other and try to build community even though we're not in a physical classroom. Try to remember that we are all emotional and emotional creatures too, and we have needs. Like if you're over here on a 9 or 10, I gave the example to my students that I was recently evacuated for the CZU lightning complex fires. And so, I told them like there was a day I had to cancel Zoom and evacuate, and Mr. Falco was out of 10. I couldn't come to class. It was just not happening. And so if you're ever in an extreme place like that, hopefully if you can't come to class, you can reach out to me and let me know why, and I can let you know what you missed. So just trying to make sure we're checking in emotionally with our students also. So moving from that to what would be a typical warm-up in my class. When students first come in, we check in on Zoom, we do attendance with a video check, make sure students are there, and then we come in and work on something that's going to get us thinking and talking math. Um, so I really like this activity, which one does not belong, because there's no right answer and there's no wrong answer. You can pick any of these 4 groups of coins and say, this group doesn't belong with the other groups of coins. Now, since there's no correct answer, it really helps students focus on their explanation. Ooh, excuse me. So I see some people are in the pair deck. You can go ahead and type your response in the pair deck. Which group do you think doesn't belong with the others? Or you can type in the Zoom chat. And if you'd like to join the pair deck, you can copy and paste that link. So let's take a look at some of the responses people have shared. So the nice thing about this is it's anonymous. So I'm able to share student work, and then it's up to them if they want to say in Zoom chat that that's mine. So I never want to embarrass a student if with an incorrect answer, but I also want to use mistakes to help us learn from them. So for example, this first person wrote, Group C does not belong because it's more than the others. The others are 25 cents and C is 50 cents. So this student, or whoever's participating, I'm not sure who it is, says that C down here, and I can also highlight C with my little annotation tool. So if you're looking here, you can see group C, whoop, that group of dimes is worth 50 cents, but the other coins are all worth 25 cents. So that was one student's response. But that's not the only possible answer. And here we have a student who wrote C. And here I would use this as an opportunity to remind students that C is totally an acceptable answer, but I need an explanation. Why did you pick C? Explain your reasoning. And so like, for example, this student said B because it's the only one that has pennies, right? Right here. In my last period, someone also brought up that these are copper, right? So, or brown, right? The color is different. We could say D doesn't belong because it's the only singular coin. Every other group is a group of coins, but D is actually not even a group, right? It's just one coin. A is kind of silly, at least my example is silly. It's flipped upside down. A is the only group with tails. So that kind of activity is really just my attempt at trying to get the students to focus on their reasoning and explanation instead of focusing on what's the answer, right? And that's really what math is about, is it's about understanding and being able to explain. Because if you can figure out an answer, but you can't explain it, as a math teacher, that tells me you don't understand it. Maybe you understand a procedure, but you don't understand why it works. So I'm doing a time check here, making sure I'm staying in my time frame. All right, we're doing okay. I'm just going to go quickly through this. I've lived in Santa Cruz since 2009. I got a Bachelor of Arts in Feminist Studies with minors in Math and Education in 2013 from UCSC. And the next year I got my Master's in Education and my teacher credential. And I've been working at Shoreline since 2014. And here are my dogs. It's my family and my dogs. Like I said, sometimes sometimes in the middle of class we might hear some dogs barking on Mr. Falco's microphone. So it's been hard to not bring up my dogs with the students. But it's also a nice thing that we're just sometimes able to connect with over who else has pets and what are their pets' names. And I really appreciate when students share their who they care about or what they care about. Helps me understand them more. Um, and this is just our math curriculum. Not super important as far as anything for you to do. I'm just informing you that we're currently piloting a curriculum called McGraw-Hill Reveal Math. And we are also still using the curriculum that we have been using since 2018, Open Up Resources. And right now, we have finished this unit, the first unit, Proportional Relationships. We talked a lot about scaling up recipes and the constant of proportionality and what those graphs look like and equations. And now we've moved on into solving percent problems. So this is an example of the type of problem that your student has been working on with me for the past week. So Mr. Dan, I'm just reading down here in white the problem story. Mr. Dan is on his way to Target and has these 2 coupons. But Target will only allow 1 coupon per transaction. Which coupon should he use? And so I pose this question to students, again, trying to not focus on the answer because most students don't know which coupon is better at first. So we feel like we're kind of guessing. And then we do some research and some experimentation and really try and figure out, okay, under what situation, under what circumstance is 20% off better, is $20 off better? And I can share a response, someone saying that I think it depends on the price of the object. And that is that might feel obvious to you or to some of us, but that is a really big math concept, that a percent is determined by the price of the original object or the original item. That's a really big math concept. So if students are able to start making these sorts of connections, that is that just like makes me so happy as a math teacher to see. These are just some of my math norms. You may have heard about growth mindset before, just that belief that mistakes are what make us stronger and make us learn, and that we have to embrace them and really grow through our mistakes instead of giving up when we make mistakes. Grading is nothing, it shouldn't be anything surprising. I'm using a typical scale of A, B, C, D, F, right, with the typical numbers. And I am grading a little differently with exams this year. I'm trying to grade on a standards-based rubric, which is very similar to like the Smarter Balance test, state testing that would happen at the end of the year. So instead of giving students an A, B, C, D, F on a test, they will now receive a score 1 through 4 based off of a standard. And that will be in their Illuminate gradebook. And there was something else. Oh, yeah. This would be similar to our elementary school report cards. They typically grade on a scale of 1 to 4. So my typical assignments in Zoom class, those will just be classwork assignments that students will get credit for being participating and completing the assignments. And then they also have independent work after the Zoom class that is supposed to be 50 minutes, sometimes more, sometimes less, but that is the state requirement I've been given, is to provide a 65-minute Zoom class and 50 minutes of independent math practice. So students should have basically, homework or independent work from me after Zoom every day. And I'm also available to help with this independent work every day from 2 to 3. Oh, I should have said, I made a little typo here. This is not true on Fridays, but I am available for independent homework help every day from 2 to 3, like Monday through Thursday. And we have some other resources available too if you're interested in knowing like how to help support your student completing independent work. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to skip over this. This is kind of some growth mindset tips for you. I'm going to make sure to post a video of this presentation. I'll email it out to everyone and make sure you get it. But the big idea here is just that math is hard and difficult. And instead of praising students and rewarding students when something is easy for them, we should praise them and reward them when something is extremely difficult for them and they work really hard on it. So just something to think about, praising effort over the correct answer, I guess, if we're thinking about a math context. And yeah, so these are those office hours, Monday through Thursday, 2 to 3. And I do have an optional exit ticket, a survey that you could fill out about your students. But that is it for my presentation. I went 2 minutes over. I apologize. All right, not seeing any questions. I'm going to go ahead and end our Zoom meeting. Let's see, I got to stop my screen share to just do this real quick. So just want to say thank you so much for coming. And I look forward to seeing your student tomorrow morning or afternoon, I guess. And feel free, please reach out to me via email is the best means these days if you have any concerns about any progress your student is making. I'm always trying to respond to emails within a 24-hour window. So thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you. Have a great night.